Well, good morning, everyone. And every day we rise is a great day to be alive. And welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning show. I'm James Sim Overton, and I'm here with my very capable co-hosts, Leah Drake Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. Good morning,
Morning.
co-host.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. And look, before we get started, Leah, I don't know how many awards you're going to get, but I think congratulations on your latest recognition.
Thank you.
Is this the third one in 2024, if
Yeah,
I'm counting right?
slowly
Oh,
coming
wow.
in. I'm honored. I'm truly honored. I've been out here working with these children, since your wife was a little girl.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I
Well, you just do what you're going to do, and people will recognize it. You don't do it for the
you
recognition,
don't
but
do it for the recognition
pe-
at all.
people will notice, and then
Mhm.
you need to get your flowers now.
Thank you. And you and I both would have our award this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to be a part of that. Especially with the other people that are being honored. Yeah, I'm honored to be a part of that.
Yes.
Anyway, we have a special guest, well, recurring guest, with us this morning, Keisha Hawkins, and he is the founder of the Roadmap to a Full Ride, among other things, and we'll talk about that. And good morning, Keisha.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
We're doing fine, and we're going to talk about what you do. But before we do, I just want to mention something. This is Women's History Month, and most of us at a certain age remember Marian Anderson. And,
Yes.
and I just wanted to bring her up because as we talk about scholarships for schools, some children or some students might be looking for scholarships in music and might be opera, and they might need to know who Marian Anderson was. It might be something that they can do a essay on in applying for the college. But just wanted to mention, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but it's a great documentary on PBS, which you can find on YouTube, called Marian Anderson: The Whole World in Her Hands. And you remember the song, He Got the
Yes.
Whole World in
Mhm.
His Hands. But great documentary, and I suggest that anybody watching to sit down with your family, with your students, your children, and watch. It's a long document. You might have to break it up in two parts, but the history that she was involved with, even going to having Eleanor Roosevelt and the president setting up a concert that she did at the Lincoln Memorial on Easter Sunday, where she sang "He Got the Whole World in His Hands," and she was one of the first African American opera performers to perform at the Metropolitan Opera, which in 1955, which started a string of people coming behind her, like Leontine Price
Mhm.
and others that came behind us. So I just wanted to mention that about her during History Month, and we always talk about some of the people that made history, and they go forgotten as generations go on, and we need to just remind our youngsters about these people that paved ways for a lot of people, even during the civil rights movement. I think she sang at one of the first Washington marches.
Mhm.
You she also sang at President Kennedy's inaugural.
Mhm.
You know, so you need to know who this lady is. So just
Mhm.
wanted to mention that. Okay, we can go to our guest, Keisha, and well, Leah, do you want to start off the conversation with our guest this morning?
Well, Keisha, it's so good to have you here on today. And
Thank you.
as I stated prior to us coming on, congratulations to your son Malik, who has been promoted with the Memphis Grizzlies. So we say congratulations to you for all the great things that are happening to those students who came out of North Carolina A&T. And that's
Yes.
not saying the great things that not happen to students coming out of other HBCUs and the other institutions. We're just so proud of these young folks who started 4 years ago and actually 5 years ago now, huh? Wow.
Almost. May it be a year that they graduated. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
time moves on. But anyway, Keisha, and it is very apparent that with Malik, you really prepared him for his arrival to college. And during this time in which young people are trying to make up their minds about college and what they need to do in order to get in, it's crucial. It's a crucial time for us to have you on board to talk about this roadmap that they need to follow to get to college. Because many students think they wait till their senior year to begin
Yes.
this process. But this process really should begin in their freshman year. So, would you share with us just a little bit about what you do and who you do it for so that the people can know what's available out there for them?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to be on the show this morning. And congratulations to your grandbaby, Leah. We can't leave her out.
Yeah,
um,
she's doing her thing.
Yes, she is. We are so proud of our baby. So basically, the roadmap to a full ride is something that I established in 2019 when my son Malik Hawkins, as we previously mentioned, made national news for having over 1.2 million in scholarships and 15 college acceptances. However, a lot of people hear that and they think that was something that happened overnight. No, the process needs to start very early. And our freshman year is a perfect time to get the conversations going. But I would even say eighth grade is even better.
Hmm.
Okay. And so I actually started working with families as early as middle school, helping them maneuver the entire college process. So, what are you talking about with a seventh or eighth grader? We're talking about what they like, what they love, what they're thinking about majoring in, what type of college they're considering going to, what do they want to be when they grow up? Just getting the conversations going because oftentimes families don't have those type of conversations. Maybe the families that they're being raised by did not go to college or may not have been exposed to certain things. And then a lot of parents have also been taught just get a student loan.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
as we know, college prices are constantly increasing, definitely depending upon what type of college you're selecting to go to. And so having those conversations, making families aware of what some of the options are that are out there is truly something, bless you, that can start happening as early as middle school. And so, what I do when someone decides they want to book a 2 hour consultation, if they're booking my crash course, I am taking them through the entire FAFSA process. Because what a lot of people fail to understand is that if you get the FAFSA wrong, you've pretty much screwed up the whole process.
Hmm.
So that's exactly where it starts. And then we're going to dispel some of the myths about if you're not going to be need based and you shouldn't complete the FAFSA, or you should complete it this way, or whatever the case may be. I go ahead and walk them through that process, making sure that they understand that the FAFSA is required now. A lot of colleges are not going to award a scholarship to a student who has not completed the FAFSA. And so we talk about why the FAFSA is important, how to ensure you're completing the FAFSA the right way. Then from there, I go on and talk about the different types of colleges, okay? Making sure that they understand the pros and cons to all of their options. From there, we talk about the college application process because it's changed a lot. You know, I hear
Hmm.
some people say, I met with a family the other day. She's an attorney. So that means she's well educated. And so is her husband. He's an engineer. But when we started going through the process, there were so many things that they said they did not have realized had changed. Things were not the same. So we go through the entire application process, the different ways to apply to colleges. We go ahead and start discussing the essays they're going to encounter because that's the other part. If our kids cannot write and communicate properly, they're not going to be able to get into the colleges of their choice. They're also not going to be able to get scholarships because essays oftentimes are required in order for you to apply for scholarships. So we walk through that entire process. And then from there, we go over to the different categories of colleges, different categories of scholarships, how to find scholarships, reputable scholarship websites. And then from there, we pull it all together and I give them an exact roadmap of when they need to accomplish certain things, all the way from taking the SAT or the ACT, preparatory resources to get ready for that, the requirements to get into the colleges of their choice, Pretty much when you leave me after 2 hours, you are set. As long as you follow the roadmap, you are good to go. So let's talk about the results. What has happened since 2019? Since 2019, I have helped families across the globe, and I'm talking Hawaii, Germany, Texas, Florida, New York, Texas, you name it. I pretty much have a client there. And to date, I have helped families earn over $6 million in scholarships. So I am good at what I do.
Mhm.
But Keisha, one thing that you mentioned was the essay.
Yes,
And the young people don't seem to see the value of really reading what's required of them during the essay. They think that they can just write a general essay and that will get them in, but you have to look at what the requirements are within that essay because each scholarship requires a certain thing of you that they would like for you to talk about. Could you
correct.
go further into the essays because that's so crucial?
Yes, and so pretty much there are standard essay topics. I won't give all of those out because my desire is that people will actually book and really learn, invest in their child's education.
Hmm.
However, there are pretty much about 7 standard essays that you're going to see whether you're applying to a college or you're applying for a scholarship. And so, what I do offer as an additional opportunity within my company is I do essay writing sessions in
Mm.
1 hour sessions. I just finished working with a client on Saturday. We actually had a session because her mom had said how stressed out she had been about the essay. She just didn't know where to start, didn't really know how to finish. And so her mom just raved about how more confident her daughter was at the end of our session and how she had a finalized product that she could now go ahead and use for her college essay that she would be using for all of her colleges. And
Okay.
so, absolutely understanding how to pull the requirements together, get your story across, okay,
Hmm.
and then close it out in a powerful manner where the person that's reading on the other end actually wants to bring you in for whatever the opportunity is, whether it's acceptance to the college or whether it's for a scholarship opportunity.
Very good. Now, also, Keisha, there are so many scholarships out there that our young people just tend not to realize. There's a scholarship if you're left-handed. There's a scholarship if you're from a single-family home. There's so many scholarships. How do they go about finding these scholarships that they can actually apply for to get money so that they would not have those big expenses at the end of their 4-year college career?
So finding scholarships is complicated, okay? Because as we know, there are scammers everywhere we go. No
Hmm.
matter what it is we're doing in life, you're going to run across someone that's trying to do something that's not quite right. And so understanding how to search, where to search, what's reputable and what's not, it's very time consuming. And
It is.
that's why I actually started offering an additional service. I honestly call myself your one-stop shop for all your college planning needs. But I actually do offer now customized scholarship databases. This is something I've been doing now for probably a little over a year and a half, maybe, where clients can actually pay me to go and do all of their research. So I will go out and find every single scholarship that's humanly available for that particular student when the request is made and turn that customized scholarship database back around to my client within 7 business days.
Mm.
It includes the direct link to the scholarship, the dollar value of the scholarship, when the scholarship is due. And then I even go a step further to put whether or not this is something they can apply for a weekly, monthly, or even throughout their collegiate career. Outside of my 2 hour crash course, the customized scholarship database is probably my most popular service because that database can help anyone from 12th grade all the way through PhD programs. No two databases are the same, only because no two students are ever the same.
Hmm.
They might want to major in something different. They might be considering different types of colleges. They may have had a different type of high school career over someone else. And so all those things go into play and how I know what to do and how to customize anything that I'm actually offering for a student is because I have a preliminary questionnaire that I completed, that I actually created. And so every student that I choose to work with or family or whatever has to complete prior to me providing whichever service they're booking for me. And so that was a long answer, but basically, honestly, you just have to know where to start. And you have
Hmm.
to have time because time is something that a lot of parents and students honestly don't have because of multiple reasons. And then one of the biggest reasons is that people start too late.
Yes.
Yeah. And so starting early is definitely key for sure.
So for those students who are just starting now, what do they do? I mean, they're just beginning to realize, I mean, they're seniors, you're graduating in a couple of months, you've not applied for any scholarships, you've not completed your FAFSA. I mean, where do they begin now for those students who have not yet got the fire yet?
Well, first of all, they need to figure out if they're going to go the route of just starting out in community college, which I definitely promote. I work at Tidewater Community College. I actually teach SDV 100, which are basically life skills, which are a lot of the skills that our kids are honestly missing coming straight from high school, trying to go out here in the real world. Some of them haven't had conversations about financial literacy or any of that stuff, but that's another conversation for another day. So pretty much it's trying to figure out if they're just getting started. Where are we in March? Some kids are graduating in May or June, depending upon where
Yes.
they are, what state. And then college starts in August. But the process, even though they may not report until August, honestly starts before that. So I think if kids have not even started, well, I would say probably book a session with me so I can get you going. But if they're not going to do that, it's honestly having those tough conversations about whether or not we're going to just go ahead and start at a community college, or if we're going to go still try to go into a 4-year. Getting the FAFSA done if it has not been done, getting that essay knocked out, because you have to make sure that that says what it needs to say in order for you to get accepted to wherever it is you're trying to go. So just getting started, coming up with a roadmap, a plan to get everything going, especially if it's late in the game.
Very great, James.
Yeah, Keisha, what about well, first thing I like to say, Leah, you mentioned about the left-handed scholarships. I also saw where tall, short, things like that. And they're limited scholarships, and they're usually not full scholarships, but you can apply for those to help out with anything. But in looking at it, I saw a lot of unusual scholarships that are out there for
Right.
people that could add to whatever they get if they don't get a full scholarship, and even if they get a full scholarship. But I was going to ask, um, you know, minority scholarships, like going to a predominantly white school, and I see some whites coming to HBCUs on minority scholarships. So are they still something? Is that still something that's really prevalent, and that students can apply for to get a full scholarship or some scholarship money?
Okay, that's a good question. I've actually been talking to clients a lot about that during my sessions, because I think this is where, when we have students that start to look like us, it's going to be more important to talk about the importance of HBCUs. Because, not saying that you should not have any PWIs on your list, because you honestly need to be finding the best school that's the best fit for you. Okay, and that could be, even if you look the way we look, it could be a PWI, depending upon what you're trying to major in. However, we do know that the affirmative action was reversed in courts some months ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I know it was sometime last year. And so I think we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with that. Now that PWIs no longer have to not only let us into their institution, or let us into their institution with financial money, full rides, I think this is where we're going to see our HBCUs play a much more important role in the lives of our students. However, minority scholarships are not just available from colleges. Like I was saying before, there are several different categories of scholarships, which is something that I do cover in full detail in my 2-hour crash course. But there are plenty of minority scholarships, especially based upon what you may want to major in.
And it's also important. I think you sort of covered it in your conversation. It's important because it's so easy now to go to Google or go online and look for certain things, which is nothing wrong with that. But you don't know what's legitimate and
Right.
what's not.
Right.
So it's always good to come to someone like you, where you can get that professional advice. And even if they go there and they can bring to whatever they found to you, and you can sort of
Correct.
say, hey, this is not something that will be worth your time. But talk about that, because a lot of people go that route because they feel like it's easier. The application process might be shorter, you know, but not necessarily something that will be to your advantage.
Right. And so, what's the question, Mr. Overton? I just want to make
The
sure.
question was, well, it was more of a statement because I think you kind of covered the importance of coming to you or someone like you, uh, how safer it is
Right.
for parents as far as getting involved and not wasting your time going online and just picking something that might not be to your advantage. So
Yes, definitely true. And I think that's things are constantly changing. One of the biggest changes that our class of 2024 students have had to deal with is the change in the FAFSA process.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the people, the higher ups knew that the FAFSA process was going to change. So why wait until the last minute?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you have students who were not able to complete the FAFSA until December or January when they may have already turned in college applications. And so now you're trying to figure out what's really going to happen with that. And so just being able to be versed and understand how much things change, how often things change, and then understanding those changes. I think that's oftentimes that's where a lot of parents and students get caught up too, especially when parents are relying on the students to relay information.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know how that can go
We
sometimes.
know how that goes.
And so the students have told their parents one story. Trust me, I've seen it all since 2019. And then we get in a session and I start asking their child questions because most of the time, even though the parents are on the line or on the Zoom or on the Google Meet, so however it is we're choosing to meet, I am talking to the student because we can't have the parent is not the one that's going to go to their interviews, or the parent is not the one that the admissions counselor is going to want to talk to. They want to talk to the student. And so that is what I am doing in my session, while I allow the parent, of course, to sit in and understand and ask questions. It's making sure that the students understand. And so you start asking them certain questions and the parents say, wait, but you told me. And I said, hold on, mom, hold on, dad. Let me get the rest of the story, you know. And so oftentimes my sessions can be quite comical, depending upon what's absolutely going on. Sometimes they're emotional, sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're like, oh wow, you know. So I think I've seen a little bit of it all, but understanding just how everything works, when things should be done, that's what I'm here for. And like I tell people all the time, everything that's free is not good. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to do a little bit of investing. But I tell people this way, you're going to pay one way or the other. You're either going to pay me a small, very minimal fee in the beginning for an opportunity for your student to have a full ride and to totally understand the process and make it to be a stress-free process, or you're going to pay $100,000 plus in student loans on the back end. I mean, to me, it makes sense, but you'd be surprised at some of the responses that I get from parents when they reach out to try to figure out what kind of services that I offer.
And Keisha, what is going on with FAFSA? Because I know that there's students now who are applying for scholarships and FAFSA saying reviewing. They have not yet gotten the results of their of the process with FAFSA.
So it's kind of hard to say exactly what's going on with FAFSA, but pretty much what happened was they made some revisions so that they can make the process of applying shorter. So there's not as many questions. The kids have an opportunity to add more colleges that they're considering on the FAFSA. Before there was 10, now you can do 20 schools. And so while they made some good changes to the FAFSA, they just took too long to push that process through. And so now all of the reviewing, waiting is because I'm not even 100% sure that they've gotten everything totally right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am concerned about some of my class of 2024, especially if they're just getting started, because there's so much red tape and things to maneuver through. However, even if you're still waiting on the FAFSA, there are so many things that you could still be doing to be productive during this waiting period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what? And could you just give us a few of those things they could be doing as they're waiting for the FAFSA? Without, I know
Yeah.
they need to take your crash course, but there are a few things that they could be doing as they're waiting.
Well, one, they need to be reviewing whatever offers they receive from colleges to see what it is those colleges are offering them. That's one thing they can be doing. The second thing is they can be making sure that they actually did complete the FAFSA the correct way. And then the other thing they need to be doing is applying for scholarships, as many as humanly possible.
And how would they find out if they've completed the FAFSA properly?
Is to review it. And because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes what happens is they'll come a lot of times. So, there's two parts to the FAFSA. There's a parent section and a student
Mm-hmm.
section. And that's why I tell parents, you have to this isn't a process where you let the kids just run off and do things
Exactly.
on their own, even if they are pretty independent. I mean, my son was very independent. However, there was just certain things I was going to be involved in just to make sure he was crossing T's, dotting I's, because at the end of the day, we always know that two sets of eyes are better than one. And so I think part of that is just making sure that the parent section is completed properly, as well as the student section is completed properly. And then making sure they've included all of the colleges that they're currently considering on their FAFSA application.
Colonel, I know you have a question. I just want to remind people to please like, subscribe, and comment and share this show. If you're watching live, especially if you're for the first time, please subscribe to our channel. Colonel, go ahead.
Yeah, Keisha, a great presentation.
Thank
And
you.
I know it's centered on getting money and financial aid and everything in your program. But I wanted to, one, address one thing. And we look at the demise of affirmative action that you talked about before. And kids and parents need to know that why did affirmative action leave us is because the Republicans, with a ginned up lawsuit against Harvard and UNC, led by, they picked out a couple Asian students that didn't get into those schools, put a suit in there, and they paid for everything, and sort of went all the way up to the Supreme Court and killed it. And then so that is also affecting the business world and a lot of other things as far as affirmative action. They actually tried to go in and try to affect affirmative action within the military. And they're also, the Republicans are after the DEI programs in across business world and across the country. So they are actively against affirmative action, which affects minorities and mostly women.
Mhm.
Mostly women. And so you'll see those negative effects from that in the future when you talk about the future. But I think that when we're looking at going to college, the actual preparatory piece starts out in your grade schools, in the elementary schools, where I think that as parents is a great opportunity, one, to start prepping your kids to say when you're taking your summer vacation, stop by one of the local colleges, and so they can see what college life is all about and start talking to them if they're going to be college bound, so you can see that college life and talk to them about majors and those type of things. And so also when you're in the say in high school and also middle school, there are volunteer opportunities, and if, say, if your child wants to be a lawyer, you can get them
Right.
to volunteer and be a part of go to one of these law firms. Or my kids, well, two out of the three in healthcare uh, had a chance to, one, volunteer in the pharmacy and see what the pharmacists do, or they go out and volunteer in one of the hospitals to see what the other health professions are doing in the laboratory, which we don't see a lot, or in supplies and everything else with those kind of things. So though, and so it also adds to, as parents, and we talk about the high cost of colleges and universities, also start their preparatory piece when they're born, looking at the 529 plans, where there's state programs to save money, and also the Gifts to Minors Children Act, that you can start with as less as $50 a month, direct deposit into a mutual fund that could grow over those 18 years. That if will they have a significant amount of money, just even 50, and you can increase it as time as your own income, is to give that, and the kids will have that money to go to school, will take that edge off of the financial aspect of college and universities. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been partnering with churches so that was one of my focuses for 2024 is when we talk about being good stewards of our money, we're talking about being good stewards of our money across the board and being good stewards of the gifts our children or grandchildren that God has gifted us with. And so I did a presentation for a church in Virginia Beach, I want to say last month, and I was just showing them this whole process from how student loan debt is one of the biggest businesses in the world,
Mhm.
and how us as African Americans and usually the Black female carries the most debt, and how to get on a different path with our kids so that we're not repeating that same cycle. And so some of those things that I do cover when I do those sessions, it just depends. I do a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Is to start talking about different educational plans that families can use and what the maximums and minimums are that you can put in per year and just all of that. But like you said, the preparatory piece is something that we as parents have to start earlier. There are conversations that should be over dinner, conversations that should be over vacation. And something else that I do talk about during my 2-hour crash course, as well as something else that you mentioned when you were saying about visiting colleges. Because at the end of the day, kids come up with these wonderful lists, right? And then you say, I'll ask them in a session, well, how did you come up with that? Well, my cousin went there, 10 years ago, or I saw on TV that they do this, or I like the colors of the school. I mean, I think I've heard a little bit of everything. And
Mhm.
they've never even been on a college campus
Mm-hmm.
or didn't go tour that school, and that's their number one school. And I tell parents all the time, exposure is key. You have to give them an opportunity to experience and see if this is even a culture that they like.
Exactly.
Once they are in that particular environment, because what could have been their number one may now come off the list for
Mm-hmm.
various reasons.
Mhm.
And so exposure is key. And I will say this, bless you, as an educator now on the other side, on the college campus, we put I'm going to say we because I am a parent. My sons are adults now, but we as parents put way too much responsibility on the educators. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The kids were given to us, and
Mm-hmm.
then we eventually put them in school at maybe 5 years old or 6 years old or whatever the case may be. And so what have we done with them during that time? And then now that they're in school, what are we doing now? Are we partnering with the teachers, the counselors, or the principals, or whomever is working with them? Or are we currently just going to keep saying, well, they didn't do this for my child, and they should have did this, and they should have did that? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Exactly.
because there's no
Exactly.
way now that I am on the college side of things, working with first semester freshmen, and some of them can't even put sentences together.
Mhm.
They're writing sentences with lowercase letters,
Mm-hmm.
lowercase
Well,
I.
Keisha, they don't write anymore, Keisha.
I understand that, and I think AI is going to make things worse from what
It
I'm
is.
hearing, where you
It
just
really
put
is.
a topic out there and then it writes it for you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
just great. That's just great. What are we doing here? you
Mhm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask this. You mentioned AI making things worse, and you heard people talk about it's when it comes, it's going to take a lot of people's jobs. But what about considering, they're going to have programmers. They're still going to have people to set these things up. That be something that students should be looking into as far as the technical field, where they might be needed in AI? I mean, AI, is not going to be to the point not unless you go way into the future where the robots take over. And I don't think that's going to be the case anytime soon. But,
Oh
shouldn't
no.
they be looking at that field, as far as, okay, what can I prepare myself for in the AI field, to be embrace it and be a part of it rather than be afraid of what it might bring.
Right, correct. So I always think that something around technology is always going to be a good major to consider, only because it's not going anywhere. They might improve it, they might expand on it, or whatever the case may be. But technology, all of that, the STEM, all that stuff, is still going to be here. And now I don't proclaim to be an AI expert. That's really not my area of expertise. So I try to stay in my lane. However, we know AI is here. And I don't know everything that it's going to do, but as Miss Stiff just said, we already know it's going to be writing the essays
Mm-hmm.
and doing a couple of other things for our students. And so what I will say is when a child is trying to consider a career field, Anything in STEM or technology or whatever the case may be, engineering are always still going to be good majors to consider. Not only will they pay well, but I believe it's something that's going to have to constantly be here, even if robots do take over certain things. I've heard one of my nieces saying that they went somewhere to eat something and the robot was the one bringing their food to the table and taking their order. And so we're here, we have to know how to operate through and maneuver through what's going on right now. But at the same time, there are still basic skills that our students, our children, our grandchildren need to have. And that responsibility, as I said a few minutes ago, cannot just be on the educators. That has to be a responsibility that the parents and everyone else that are helping to raise that child are currently engaged in as well.
And
You know,
Keisha, as you stated before, in preparation for college, you're saying that you start as early as middle school.
Yes.
And do you share with the students and their parents the importance of school clubs and extracurricular activities, volunteerism and community
Yes.
service? Uh,
Yes.
Talk to them about awards and accolades and how they need to
Yes.
document these things so that they would be prepared to apply for college later on.
Yes, ma'am. All of that is covered in my 2-hour crash course. And because, like I tell parents all the time, these organizations and these colleges honestly want students that have been given back to others. And
Exactly.
so community service is important. I think it's something that oftentimes kids have, not quite focused on as much because, and, let's just be honest, in this day and time, it's all about what can I get and not always what can I give. And in order for us to get, we do have to give. Sometimes,
Mhm.
depending upon what it is we're giving, you have to give something in exchange for something else, more than likely. And so, definitely, community service, volunteerism, whichever word you want to use, are going to be important. And yes, I do teach that in my 2-hour crash course, as well as how to document it and all of that. Yes.
And start it early. Don't wait till your senior year and run around asking everybody, do you have something I can volunteer for? Do you have something I can, start early so you can already have it documented that you have started these things at an early age.
Absolutely. One more thing I want to say too is because even though I do what I do, I'm very honest. I think sometimes I'm too honest because I think I would make a lot more money if I wasn't as honest. However, we do have to know that not every single child is going to go to college. Okay.
Exactly.
And that is perfectly fine. And that's why, if a parent wants to just book, I can customize anything pretty much because I wrote my curriculum, I wrote my program, and now I work at the college as well. And I've been in the career field for many, many years. I am well versed on a lot of different topics around education, careers, financial literacy, credit scores, all that stuff. And so if a parent comes to me with an area of concern, I can customize anything they want. However, what I have had to do in some sessions, and it's been tough conversations, is I find out in talking to a child that the child doesn't want to go to college. This is the
Exactly.
parent's whole thing. And now sitting in the classroom as a professor, I know the students whose parents have made them go to college. And this is not what they wanted to do. And so if that's not what they want to do, they're not going to do what they need to do when they get there. So I think having those tough conversations and being accepting of what it is they want to do, if it makes sense. Now, it got to make sense. But you do have to understand that not every single child is going to go the 4-year route. One of my son's absolute best friends, he's basically like a nephew to me. He didn't choose to go the 4-year route. He's in cybersecurity and he's doing very, very well. And so I think we have to realize that what we necessarily thought our kids were going to do or what we wanted them to do may not always be the route they choose to take. And we have to be okay with that and be supportive if it makes sense. And so I think that's something else. That's that can be a whole nother conversation for another day as well. But just knowing that they have our support is what's going to be most important for our children to be successful. We've already had the opportunity to pick and choose what life we wanted. And so now it's their turn. And we have to be there to help them every step of the way, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so important because take your example with Malik. He could have, he was acting very early. He was in movies. He could have just, like a lot of actors, they just go that route because they've already kind of established themselves that way. but he chose to take the college route. And you just have to listen to your children and sort of feel out what they want to do. So he enjoys both worlds now with a college degree, and he still can go in the direction that he started out when he was really young, because
He
he's
still
still
is.
getting those kind of
Yeah.
jobs, right?
He still is. Not as many acting jobs anymore because that does require you to be on set, taking time away. And so
Voiceover.
yeah, so now he's doing more voiceover work that pays pretty decent, depending upon what you're booking. And so that's just an opportunity for him to have another secondary stream of income,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even with his current career with the NBA. Yeah.
Mhm. Keisha, and for the public out there, so I'm a proponent of the STEM, or when we talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But also, I also add in there healthcare. And I think any of those majors in the future, if you look at all the statistics, they are always at the top of the most chosen, or the most for America, and the world, for the most growth in the future, now and in the future. And then and so I think you should, if expose your kids to one of the majors in STEM or in the healthcare, it'll pay dividends in the future. So saying that is that, and people, you already talked about AI. How did we get to AI? Because one, we have these science, engineering, and technology majors out there
Yeah.
developing that, and then so you can be in that, in the programming or whatever, in the developing the AI ahead of time, if you looking at those type of majors. And so fearing AI, even though there's going to be a lot of problems if Congress doesn't put their act together, and put some guardrails on it. It is just another futuristic type of major that you could get into, because they have these nanosciences and things that were didn't exist when I went to college.
Right.
And so but it also goes back to exposure too. So when I look at AI, my grandson, who was a freshman in high school last year, we took him to an internship with the Naval Academy. Naval Academy paid for everything, food, everything. We just had to get him up to Annapolis. But they also had classes in, or demonstrations in engineering, technology, and also AI. So that early
Exposure.
piece there, exposure to it, he was getting that as a freshman, and it exposed him to saying, well, what am I going to do this summer? Well, he was going to have a volunteer thing with one of the local hospitals while he's waiting on his next thing. He's already applied to the Air Force Academy and a couple of the other academies, which we can discuss, because the military is paying for more of the research and development than anywhere else in the world. And those opportunities are out there. And a lot of parents and kids now will turn their noses up if they don't have their exposure to what's out there, with the benefits of an appointment to one of the academy has, and the benefits of that. And just not in the STEM, but they had business majors at the academy, which
I was about to say that. Yeah.
they had business majors, they had biology majors. Matter of fact, the last well, the one before that, the last surgeon general for the Army was went in for engineering, and went to medical school through the Army, and went up and rose up to be a 3-star. And actually, the DHA commander, female, she's an OB doc, did one of the academies. And so there's a long history of, or plethora of folks that's gone to one of the academies and have gone off to have great careers that have been distinguished and profitable careers. So yes, I'll say that. And so there's a lot of stuff out there, but you just have to do a little bit of research, and parents talk to each other and talk to folks like say what's available for my son or daughter.
Absolutely. Yep. And we right back to that same word, exposure.
Exactly, exactly.
We're right back to it. We can't escape the word exposure.
Mhm.
It has to start early. And
Yes.
it
So
has to be consistent. It has to be
yes, and
consistent.
Keisha, so that those parents who may be listening or coming on later, it's kind of early for a lot of people. They go back and look on YouTube later today. You can look on YouTube and you can hear everything that Keisha's sharing with us about preparing your young people for higher education or even for employment, period. Um, Keisha, how does one get in touch with you in order to secure your services and your availability and to meet their needs?
Yeah, so I actually have a website. So you can go directly to my website. It's roadmaptofullride.com. Roadmaptofullride.com. I'll spell it because some people want to put the number two, and it's actually spelled out. So that's roadmap, ROADMAP, 2TO, full, FULL, ride, RIDE.com. Roadmaptofullride.com is my website. You can actually see my information, more about me, learn more about me, where I was educated, what I do, my background. You can see testimonials from other clients. You can see all the services that I offer. Just keeping in mind that whatever you see can still be customized or added onto. Okay, so they're general categories. Only thing that is not on my website is pricing, and that is because prices do change periodically, and so I don't want to have to constantly keep updating my website. So you will not see prices on there, but after talking to me, so how this all works. Let's just say someone was listening today, they decided to go to my website. Now, if you can't remember what my website is, you can go to Google and put in Roadmap to a Full Ride. And I think I'm the first one that pops up. At least that's what a client told me that found me online a couple weeks ago. She said she was just searching for opportunities. I popped up. She saw she wanted to support a Black business. She saw my bio and she was like, oh, this is the one. Okay. And so if you can't remember the website, you can just go Google Roadmap to a Full Ride or even put in Keisha Hawkins, Keisha Hawkins, Hawkins. I am very active on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Well, they call it X now. But wherever you can pretty much find me. But how it would work, let's just say you went on my website, you would hit the consultation request button. And so I would automatically be notified in my email that someone is trying to contact me. I would then respond back via email asking for a good day and time I can reach you for a 10 to 15 minute phone call, kind of discussing what the needs are for your specific child. Then from there, we will pick whichever service is best for you and schedule a time. So as I said before, I have clients in Hawaii, Germany, Texas, Florida, New York, you name it. I pretty much have a client there. And so I work all kinds of times. That's what it is when you are a business owner.
Different time zones, different time zones.
I am all across time zones. So sometimes it may be midnight or 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm working only because my client is somewhere else, and that is the right time for them. And so from there, pretty much, having them complete the preliminary questionnaire once they decide they're going to book a service, regardless of what the service is. And once again, those services are a 2-hour crash course, customized scholarship database. I do interview coaching as well. And I also do essay writing assistance. And then lately, I've been providing the financial literacy. I've been going out to the churches talking about student loan debt, how to prevent that, break the cycle. If you need it, I pretty much can offer it. And that is because I did retire from the federal government. I guess it's probably been about 2 years and 4 or 5 months ago. So that contracting piece, negotiations, business, all of that, I do have that background as well. So I'm able to bring that to not only my classroom on the college campuses, but also to families who need those services as well.
Keisha, do you have people that might show interest? I know you share a lot of good information to your clients, and I know, and maybe some of them share their interest because we've had people, professionals on here in optometry and psychology and psychiatry that say as far as African Americans, the percentage is very low in that field, especially with the psychologists and psychiatrists. A lot of people that want to go to them that are African American like to sit across from people that look like them when they share such personal information. And the professionals we had on here were talking about how low the percentage of uh, people, students are going into that field, even optometry, with the eyes. Do you have, do they share information or share what their interests with you, and you see people want to go into those fields, or do you uh, find places that really are looking for people, African Americans, to go into that field? Because it is some fields that we are really lacking in, and I just wanted to know if
So,
you get some of that
so
information.
yeah, I think I'm understanding your question. And so pretty much in a session, and that's why I say that every session is customized, but pretty much in a session after hearing the child's heart, what they're interested in, what they love to do, what their hobbies are, I then can make recommendations about certain different career fields that they may fit their area of interest. And then also maybe pinpointing that there's more help needed in this particular field. Because at the end of the
They
day,
might not have thought about it.
right, all at the end of the day, all my clients don't look like me. And so it's even though I'm always going to advocate for the students that look like me. At the end of the day, my business is here to help all students. And so I am talking about what's best for that particular family and for that particular individual. But yes, do keep in mind that I am always giving nuggets. Maybe this is a career field you should consider for this particular reason, or whatever the case may be. So yes,
Because of their strengths and their interests.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And Keisha, although we're talking about colleges and getting into colleges, you did say that you can customize your services for those individuals who may not be thinking about going to college, but looking for something in the workforce. They can also contact you to get information on what they need to do to prepare their child for whichever area in the work field they would like to go into as well. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes. Yes, of course, majority of my clients are coming to me for college information or to
Hmm.
start those tough conversations or to get the general background as to how it looks. But I've had some parents say, this kid is probably going to go to the military,
Hmm.
but I want to make sure I have this option so that they can hear. Because I
Exactly.
have had some kids and families come to me originally where the child didn't want to go to college, but when they were done talking to me, they realized they really were college material.
Hmm.
Or the flip side, kids came to me because they thought they wanted to go to college. And then when they realized what was required, the work that was required to get to where they want to go, they decided they were going to skip that and go straight to working or go into the military or, go into a particular other career field where it wouldn't take as much schooling. And so, like I said, it just depends on what you need. And something else I've been pushing pretty heavily lately is financial literacy, because you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't know how to manage it, how to budget it, how to create short and long term goals around your finances, you're going to be broke.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And that's the problem that so many of us, that look like us have. Maybe we didn't come from, that financial background. We get that opportunity to make all of this money, and we're out here doing things that make no sense and not planning for the future. And then after being a millionaire, now we have nothing left or to show for it, or nothing to leave for our kids or our grandkids. Or oftentimes we're out here buying the vehicles and buying the red bottoms and the Jordans, and we haven't set anything in place for our kids. And it's kind of like, and we're passing that thought process on to the next generation and the next generation and next generation. And so financial literacy and tough conversations around credit scores and all that other stuff is something I've been pushing pretty heavily as well. And so that is another service that I should be promoting more. uh,
Hmm.
but that is a service that definitely is available as well. Yeah.
Keisha, I think that is probably the most important piece is financial literacy, because it does affect the parents, grandkids, and the child. And one thing is that when you get to college and choosing in college and looking at the expenses, it's just not what they write on as far as tuition and
Absolutely.
there's room and board, transportation, get there, and food and everything. So it's more expensive. But if you've done your homework and did a 529 or gifts to minors children act and saved over the long term, then that money will be there. And so you want to get there and get through college with either no debt or as less debt
Minimal.
as you can go, minimal debt. And the other thing is be careful with the and I'm a proponent of not doing the parent loans,
Parent plus loans, yeah.
not doing them, and not having grandma sign co-sign that loan, because one, that loan is not discharged because of bankruptcy. None of student loans are done. Republicans did that. And even though business can get rid of loans, that, and also if the child pays it back and they get they go to a job that's going to pay back student loans, it does not pay back the student loans that grandma and mama paid for.
Correct.
Or signed for. And so you as a parent or grandma who's parent, even though you have you wanted to do right for your child, you've done wrong by yourself, because you
Correct.
anchor on your leg and you'll never be able to stop working in there, because that is your debt. And I think you should really look at it, think twice, think three times, and not do those parent plus loans. Because if you have to do that, then you're at a place that it's just too expensive for you, and you have to look at other things to do. My opinion. So it also goes back to, I think the main points that we talked about today is exposure and early financing, what we just talked about, and then doing the preparatory work also with the kids. So when they're in high schools, let them take the hard courses. Their friends may saying, why are you taking physics,
Economics.
and you could be out popping your fingers with your kids, with the rest of the boys. No, you take those hard courses, because once you take those, when you get back and get into college, you've already seen those equations and trigonometry and geometry and whatever, physics and stuff like that, or especially in chemistry. And so you could get college credits while going to Tidewater, for example, while you're in high school. So when you get into a 4-year college, you got a head start. So that's a big piece too. And then when you also look at the colleges, look at the right fit and graduation rates, and does that college want to see you there? Why do they want you there? For a lot of our athletes, Black athletes, they want you there for a couple years to make money for the university, but you ain't getting out. You ain't getting out. And you could go there 3-4 years, and and you hear the stories all the time, and they don't even have a good year of credible college credits. And so you have to use, we have to break the cycle that we're being used for all this time, and really look at, and I'm a big proponent of HBCU schools, because they've done, I'm a product of two HBCUs, and Hampton and Norfolk State. I got to give a shameless plug for them. But I'm an HBCU, so, and I got 2 PWI degrees, also masters. So I've seen both sides, but my HBCU degrees have done me more than anything else in the world. And then break the cycle of apathy of looking at your future degrees. When you look at STEM, Virginia Tech has a program that funds kids that want to go to in the different branches of engineering, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. They pay the transportation, pay for your hotel stays up and down. They go to a college football game, and they talk about what you're talking about, monies and things like that, and gives kids exposure to the different facets of engineering. But you know what? And it's here in the state of Virginia, and we can't get enough students to go.
Right.
And basically, this program is looking at people of color, and they can't get enough people to come. something's wrong with this picture.
Mhm.
Something is wrong with this picture, and it's almost like a death knell in our population for what we're going to do in the future if we don't break this cycle. But go ahead.
All
Thank
right. Yep. We at the hour, and I want to thank you for coming on and sharing such great information like you did, like you do every time you come on.
Thank you.
And I think Leah mentioned how important it is not to wait until the last minute to start applying. I mean, you can do this all year round. I mean, you can contact you anytime, and the earlier, the better. And just having that information and will greatly help your student when it's time for them to either consider college or seriously start filling out applications. So again, we appreciate, and please, one more time before you go off, give your website or any other information you want to give as far as how to contact you, because I think it's important to get that again.
Okay, so it's roadmaptofullride.com. That's actually my website. So spelling the word out, road, ROAD, map, MAP, to TO, full, FULL, ride, RIDE.com. I actually have a Google number as well that if people wanted to call and reach me that way. And that number is 757-797-6049. Again, that number is 757-797-6049. I can also be contacted on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm under Keisha Hawkins on Facebook. That's Keisha Hawkins, Hawkins. My Instagram is under Keisha Hawkins, but I also have an Instagram for the business under info. Actually, what is it? Roadmap to Full Ride. Roadmap to a Full Ride is actually what my Instagram is. And so, yeah, anything you need, I pretty much got it.
Okay.
One-stop shop.
Even those financial services. Well, thanks again. Any last comments from the host?
Keisha, I want to thank our wonderful Norcom graduate for all the great work that you're doing. And I think we need to get you up at Norcom so you can do a little something for the students up there as well as all the schools. They need to hear this information, and they don't need to wait until their senior year to hear this information. So I'm glad that you're out there. I'm glad that you're providing the services for these young people so that they can come out of college debt free, if possible, at least paying a few dollars as necessary when they come out. So I thank you so much for all that you do. And as I stated before, if you have not watched this morning, you can go back and you can tell your friends they can go on YouTube and they can watch this over and over again to get all of the great information that you shared with us on today. And so thank you so much once again for agreeing to come on Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it and look forward to trying to continue to make a change, change some things up for our families across the globe.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Coming on, and this is a service that is needed. And like Leah says, you can't wait till your senior years. If you wait till your senior years, you are late, and the bus is already pulled out most time. And so don't miss that bus because it ain't coming back around till another time.
Exactly.
Okay, again, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this information with your friends. You never know. People might be out there wondering what to do or where to go. So share this information. And thanks again. And be aware, be informed, and most of all, be involved. We'll see you next time. Take care. Portsmouth
Thank
Coffee Talk.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great one.
Okay.
All right.